What happens when something goes wrong inside an environmental management system? ISO 14001:2015 has the answer. It's all about corrective action and continual improvement. When a nonconformity occurs, organizations must find the cause, take action, and make sure it never happens again. Not just fixing the problem, but improving the whole system. Auditors look for real evidence. Has the organization learned from its mistakes, documented its actions, and enhanced its environmental performance over time? In this episode, we explore how continual improvement keeps an EMS alive and effective. For full details, watch the complete lecture only on For Science Salah Lotfy Channel.
Welcome to For Science Salah Lotfy Channel, where science meets curiosity. في هذه القناة لا نكتفي بعرض الأبحاث العلمية، بل نترجمها إلى المعرفة التي تصل إليك أينما كنت. Our mission is to make global scientific research understandable, accessible, and multilingual. جميع الفيديوهات العلمية هنا مترجمة إلى اللغة العربية، بالإضافة إلى لغات عالمية أخرى. French, Spanish, German, Urdu, and more. Because science speaks every language. نعم. العلم يتحدث بكل اللغات، ونحن نحرص أن يصلك بلغتك. If you're passionate about science, you're in the right place. اشترك الآن وابدأ رحلتك مع العلم خطوة بخطوة. For Science Salah Lotfy Channel, العلم للجميع.
Hello everyone and welcome to For Science Salah Lotfy Channel. Today we take a deep dive into one of the most essential frameworks for protecting our planet while maintaining effective business operations. The Environmental Management System, based on the international standard ISO 14001:2015.
The lecture we are exploring today, organized and translated by Rosa Baliza, serves as a comprehensive guide for auditing environmental management systems. Its main goal is to help auditors verify whether an organization's environmental system meets the rigorous requirements of ISO 14001:2015, while providing practical examples of objective evidence for each clause. The lecture we are exploring today, organized and translated by Rosa Baliza, serves as a comprehensive guide for auditing environmental management systems. Its main goal is to help auditors verify whether an organization's environmental system meets the rigorous requirements of ISO 14001:2015, while providing practical examples of objective evidence for each clause. Every successful environmental management system starts with understanding the context of the organization. This means identifying both internal and external issues that may affect environmental performance, from climate change, water quality, and biodiversity to social, political, and economic factors. Equally important is determining the needs and expectations of stakeholders, customers, communities, regulators, NGOs, and deciding which of these become binding obligations for the organization. Defining the scope of the environmental management system is another critical step. This isn't just about drawing boundaries. It's about ensuring no significant environmental aspects are left out, whether they come from in-house processes or outsourced activities. The ISO 14001:2015 standard places strong emphasis on leadership and commitment. Top management must actively demonstrate responsibility, provide resources, integrate environmental requirements into business processes, and promote continuous improvement. The organization's environmental policy should clearly commit to protecting the environment, complying with legal requirements, and continually improving environmental performance. Planning is at the heart of an effective EMS. Organizations need to identify risks and opportunities, manage significant environmental aspects through a life cycle perspective, and address legal and other requirements. This proactive approach ensures potential threats are minimized and opportunities for environmental improvement are fully leveraged. An EMS can only succeed if it is supported by the right resources, competence, awareness, and communication. Training ensures that employees and even contractors understand their role in protecting the environment. Operationally, organizations must control their processes, integrate environmental requirements into product design, and be prepared for emergency situations like spills, leaks, or accidents. Monitoring and measuring environmental performance is a continuous process. Through internal audits and management reviews, organizations evaluate whether the EMS is effective, compliant, and aligned with strategic goals. Finally, the principle of continuous improvement ensures that any nonconformities are addressed, corrective actions are taken, and opportunities for better environmental outcomes are implemented. In short, ISO 14001:2015 is not just a checklist. It's a culture of environmental responsibility embedded into every level of an organization. In this episode, we will unpack the details of how this standard works in practice and how auditors use structured methodologies to ensure real environmental performance. Stay with us, and let's explore together how global standards can shape a cleaner, safer, and more sustainable future. This is for Science Salah Lotfy Channel, bringing scientific knowledge to life.
Hello, and welcome to the For Science Salah Lotfy Channel. In today's world, demonstrating strong environmental stewardship is no longer optional, it's a business imperative. Stakeholders, from customers to investors, demand it. An environmental management system, or EMS, provides the structured framework for organizations to control their environmental impacts, ensure legal compliance, and continually improve their performance. The globally recognized benchmark for a robust EMS is, of course, the ISO 14001:2015 standard. But simply implementing a system isn't enough. The real question is, how do you know it's effective? How do you verify that your commitments are translating into meaningful action? The answer lies in a rigorous auditing process. That's why today's episode is dedicated to providing a detailed, practical guide for auditing an EMS specifically against this crucial standard. This comprehensive guide, expertly organized and translated by Rosa Baliza, was created to bridge the gap between understanding the standard and effectively auditing it. It's designed to help both seasoned auditors and organizations preparing for certification ensure that their EMS truly meets every ISO requirement. We're going to move beyond simply reading the clauses. We'll explore what objective evidence looks like in the real world, from documentation and records to physical site observations and staff interviews. Over the course of this video, we'll walk you through the entire audit journey. We'll start with meticulous planning and developing risk-based checklists. Then, we'll examine common nonconformities and how to spot opportunities for improvement. We'll clarify the distinct roles in internal versus external audits. Finally, we'll cover the vital stages of audit reporting and follow-up, ensuring that corrective actions are not only implemented, but are also effective. Our aim is to equip you with the confidence and competence to conduct audits that drive genuine environmental progress.
Welcome. In the world of environmental management, a successful audit is the cornerstone of credibility and continual improvement. It's more than a procedural hurdle. It's an opportunity to validate efforts and drive meaningful change. This guide is designed to be your strategic partner in that process, providing a comprehensive framework for conducting thorough and value-added audits of an environmental management system, or EMS. The primary goal of this guide is threefold, with each objective building upon the last to create a holistic auditing tool. First is verification. The guide is engineered to help auditors systematically confirm whether an organization's EMS complies with the ISO 14001:2015 standard. It moves beyond a simple checklist, prompting auditors to dig deeper. For instance, when verifying Clause 5.1 on leadership, the guide directs them to seek evidence of management reviews, resource allocation for environmental objectives, and top-down communication about the EMS's importance. This ensures verification is robust and evidence-based, not just a surface-level check. Second, the guide focuses on documentation. It serves as a structured form to meticulously record the objective evidence gathered during the audit. Objective evidence is the verifiable data that proves conformity. Things like calibration records for monitoring equipment, training logs for employees, or minutes from management review meetings. Using this guide's structured format ensures consistency across different audits and auditors. It creates a clear, defensible audit trail that is easily understood by both the audit team and the organization. Third, we emphasize a dedicated focus on documented information. This is about the quality and control of that evidence, as required by Clause 7.5 of the standard. The guide highlights the importance of having records that are reliable, well-maintained, and accessible. Reliable means the data is accurate. Well-maintained means it's protected from loss or unauthorized changes. And accessible means the right people can find it when needed. This guide helps you assess whether the organization's information ecosystem is robust enough to support a credible EMS. To achieve these goals, the guide takes a question-based approach. Each requirement of the standard is reframed as a question, promoting active investigation. The evaluation of answers leads to one of three outcomes. When the answer is yes, it means there's clear evidence of compliance. No signifies a non-conformance, the non-fulfillment of a requirement. The guide helps you articulate this finding precisely, referencing the specific ISO clause. And finally, there might be an opportunity for improvement. This is not a non-conformance, but a chance to enhance the system even when compliance exists. For example, an organization might be compliant in managing waste, but an auditor could suggest new recycling technologies to further reduce environmental impact. This transforms the audit from a simple checkup into a strategic consultation. Clause 4 of ISO 14001, context of the organization, is the strategic foundation for any effective environmental management system. It dictates that before an organization can manage its environmental impact, it must first deeply understand the internal and external landscape in which it operates. This isn't a superficial exercise. It's a critical analysis that defines the scope and direction of the entire EMS, ensuring it is relevant and robust. First, we look at environmental conditions. This includes issues like climate change, extreme weather, local air and water quality, biodiversity, and the availability of natural resources. For an auditor, this means checking for strategic foresight. For example, has a beverage company considered the long-term risk of water scarcity in its region based on climate projections? This goes beyond compliance. It's about ensuring the business is resilient in the face of environmental change. Next are external factors. This includes social expectations, the political landscape, and legal requirements, not just current regulations, but upcoming legislation. Financial factors and competitive pressures are also key. An auditor will verify if the organization has identified its interested parties, like community groups, regulators, and investors, and understood their environmental needs and expectations. This ensures the EMS is externally aware and responsive. Then, we turn inward to internal factors. This is a self-assessment of the organization's activities, products, services, strategic direction, and its capabilities, its resources, knowledge, and technology. For instance, a manufacturer's context must include its production processes and product life cycles. An auditor confirms this internal reality check is comprehensive, linking the organization's core functions directly to its environmental responsibilities. Finally, an auditor must verify this entire process. They look for objective evidence that the context analysis is a living process. An auditor's checklist might ask, is there a defined method for monitoring these issues? Are the results used to identify risks and opportunities? Is top management involved? Evidence can be found in SWOT analyses, management review minutes, strategic plans, and stakeholder communications. The goal is to see a dynamic process that continually informs and improves the EMS. Key requirement is identifying the interested parties. Any person or organization that can affect, be affected by, or perceive themselves as affected by the organization's activities. Examples include customers, communities, suppliers, regulators, NGOs, and business partners. From these, the organization decides which requirements are binding obligations, such as relevant legal requirements, corporate-level policies, voluntary commitments, like environmental pledges. Auditors ensure that these stakeholder needs are reviewed periodically because priorities and regulations can change over time. The scope defines the boundaries of the EMS, the activities, products, and services it covers. When determining the scope, the organization must consider the extent of its control and influence, internal and external issues, legal obligations, physical and operational boundaries. Importantly, scope should not be used to exclude activities that have significant environmental impacts. For example, a battery manufacturer must consider not just production, but also raw material sourcing, customer use, recycling, and disposal. Once the context, stakeholders, and scope are clear, the organization must establish, implement, maintain, and continually improve the EMS. This means integrating EMS processes into business operations like sales, purchasing, manufacturing, and logistics, managing resources, materials, energy, and waste effectively. Monitoring environmental performance indicators. The ultimate goal is not just system compliance, but improved environmental performance over time. ISO 14001 places heavy emphasis on top management involvement. This is more than just signing off on policies, it's about hands-on leadership. Top management must take responsibility for the EMS's effectiveness, ensure resources are available, communicate the importance of environmental management, support people at all levels in contributing to the EMS, drive continual improvement. Auditors look for concrete evidence of leadership engagement, such as strategy meeting records, public communications, and resource allocation decisions. An effective environmental policy must be appropriate to the organization's scope, purpose, and context. A framework for setting objectives. A clear commitment to protect the environment, prevent pollution, comply with obligations, and continually improve. Examples of commitments include sustainable resource use, climate change adaptation, biodiversity protection, and other context-specific priorities. The policy must be documented, communicated internally, and made available to stakeholders. This guide is not just a checklist for auditors, it's a practical tool for embedding environmental responsibility into an organization's DNA. By following these principles, organizations can ensure their EMS is more than just paperwork. It becomes a living system that responds to changing environmental conditions, stakeholder expectations, and regulatory demands.
In the rest of this episode, we'll break down how these requirements translate into real-world audit practices and how both auditors and organizations can work together to achieve measurable environmental improvements. This is For Science Salah Lotfy Channel, where we bring complex scientific and technical knowledge into clear, actionable insights for everyone. Stay tuned. There's much more to explore. Hello, and welcome back to For Science Salah Lotfy Channel. Today, we continue our in-depth look into the practical application of ISO 14001-2015, the global standard for environmental management systems, or EMS. This episode focuses on some of the most crucial sections of the standard: organizational roles and responsibilities, planning for risks and opportunities, identifying environmental aspects, meeting legal requirements, setting objectives, and ensuring effective support through resources, competence, awareness, and communication. These are not just technical requirements, they are the foundation for an EMS that actually delivers measurable environmental improvement. Let's break it down, step by step.
For any environmental management system to work effectively, top management must clearly assign and communicate roles, responsibilities, and authorities. Auditors will want to see proof that the EMS is in conformity with ISO 14001:2015 requirements. Performance, including environmental performance, is being reported to top management. Although the older requirement to appoint a dedicated management representative no longer exists, the functions once carried out by that role must still be done, and may now be distributed across several positions. Objective evidence could include documented job descriptions, organizational charts, written procedures, and communication records. Importantly, staff at all levels must understand their EMS responsibilities, not just be informed of them. Auditors will also check that roles are assigned to maintain EMS integrity during organizational changes. An effective EMS requires proactive planning to address both risks and opportunities. The organization should have a process to identify risks and opportunities considering its context, stakeholder needs, and EMS scope. Prevent or reduce negative effects, including those from external environmental conditions. Achieve continual improvement. Risks are potential threats. Opportunities are potential benefits. They can arise from internal or external issues, stakeholder expectations, and operational realities. Auditors don't create the risk assessment themselves. Instead, they check that the organization applies its own methodology consistently. Evidence may include a risk matrix, integration with an aspects register, or other documented records. Options for addressing risks and opportunities may involve avoiding risks, taking them to pursue a benefit, reducing their likelihood or impact, sharing them, or retaining them by informed decision. The organization must determine the environmental aspects of its activities, products, and services, considering both what it controls and what it can influence, and assess their potential environmental impacts. This process must consider a life cycle perspective, from raw material extraction to end-of-life disposal, include normal, abnormal, and emergency situations, account for planned changes and new developments. Criteria for determining significant environmental aspects must be documented, along with the aspects themselves and their related impacts. Evidence may take the form of an aspects and impacts register or matrix. The EMS must incorporate all legal and voluntary obligations related to environmental aspects. This includes applicable laws and regulations, industry standards, voluntary commitments or corporate pledges, contractual requirements. Organizations should maintain a documented list or matrix of these obligations and demonstrate how they are integrated into the EMS. Once risks, opportunities, aspects, and legal requirements are known, the organization must plan actions to address them. This planning should integrate into EMS processes and business operations, and include ways to evaluate the effectiveness of those actions. Environmental objectives must align with the environmental policy, be measurable where possible, consider significant aspects, compliance obligations, and risks, opportunities. Be monitored, communicated, and updated as necessary. Objectives need indicators, measurable representations of progress. These must be realistic, relevant, and supported by data. Auditors will examine whether objectives are backed by solid planning that details activities, resources, responsibilities, timelines, and evaluation methods. Resources. The organization must identify and provide all necessary resources, materials, infrastructure, finances, personnel, IT systems, and knowledge. Auditors will verify that resource needs are assessed and met, not just budgeted. Competence. People whose work affects environmental performance must be competent, based on education, training, or experience. Competence must be demonstrated, not assumed. If gaps are found, actions such as training, recruitment or outsourcing must be taken and their effectiveness evaluated. Awareness. Staff and contractors must be aware of the environmental policy, relevant objectives, their contribution to EMS effectiveness, consequences of nonconformance, communication. The EMS requires a clear process for internal and external communication. What will be communicated, when, how, and to whom. Ensuring reliability and compliance in all information shared. Providing mechanisms for feedback and enabling staff to contribute to continual improvement.
ISO 14001-2015 isn't just about documentation. It's about creating a living system that engages people, anticipates risks, responds to opportunities, and drives measurable environmental improvement. By ensuring clear roles, thorough planning, accurate identification of aspects, compliance with obligations, well-defined objectives, and strong support systems, organizations can build an EMS that truly delivers on its promise. In our upcoming episodes, we'll look deeper at performance evaluation and continual improvement, the parts of ISO 14001 that ensure an EMS doesn't just exist, but evolves and thrives. This is for Science Salah Lotfy Channel, turning complex standards into clear, actionable knowledge for a sustainable future.
Hello and welcome back to For Science Salah Lotfy Channel. Today we continue exploring the practical application of ISO 14001-2015, the International Standard for Environmental Management Systems, or EMS. In this episode we'll dive into 4 critical areas that make an EMS not just a document on paper, but a living, functioning system. Documented information, operational planning and control performance evaluation, continual improvement. Let's unpack each of these and see what auditors and organizations must pay attention to. An EMS relies on documented information. ISO 14001-2015 defines this as information that must be controlled and maintained, plus the medium in which it's contained. This covers far more than just written procedures. It can include operational instructions, process maps, signage, labels, container markings, or even digital records. The format can be paper, electronic, or any other medium. Organizations must ensure 1. Identification and description. Each document must have a clear title, date, author, and reference number in the appropriate language and format. 2. Review and approval. All documents must be checked and approved for suitability before use. 3. Control. Documents should be available where needed, protected from misuse, loss, or unauthorized access, and preserved for readability. 4. Change management, version control, proper storage, retention periods, and disposal processes must be in place. External documents, if relevant to EMS operation, also need controls. The extent of documentation depends on organization size, process complexity, and personnel competence. This includes setting criteria for processes and applying controls to avoid deviations from environmental policy or legal obligations, managing planned changes and assessing the effects of unplanned changes, ensuring outsourced processes are controlled or influenced. ISO 14001-2015 adds 3 important perspectives here. 1. Changes. Planned changes must be controlled. Unplanned changes reviewed for consequences. 2. Life cycle perspective. Environmental considerations should be built into product and service design, purchasing, delivery, use, and end-of-life treatment. 3. Outsourced processes. Avoid outsourcing high-pollution processes simply to exclude them from EMS scope. Auditors will look for documented evidence that operational controls are in place and effective. Some situations require specific processes, like environmental emergencies or potential accidents. Organizations must identify possible emergencies, plan preventive and mitigative actions, test response plans where practicable, review and revise processes after drills or real events. Train staff and relevant stakeholders in emergency procedures. Emergencies can start inside the organization and impact the environment, or originate from environmental conditions that threaten operations. In either case, readiness is essential. Organizations must decide what to monitor, e.g., progress toward objectives, compliance status, operational characteristics, how to monitor, methods, criteria, indicators, statistical tools, when monitoring and analysis will take place, how results will be communicated internally and externally. Performance evaluation also includes compliance evaluation, determining how often compliance will be checked, carrying out those checks, and taking action when non-compliance is found. Auditors don't redo compliance checks themselves. Instead, they verify that the evaluation process is effective and that the organization understands its compliance status at all times. The internal audit program must consider environmental importance of processes, organizational changes, results of previous audits. Each audit should have defined criteria and scope, impartial auditors, and documented results that are reported to management. This review should consider changes in context, stakeholder needs, compliance obligations, and significant environmental aspects, progress toward objectives, results of monitoring, audits, and corrective actions, resource adequacy, opportunities for improvement. Outcomes include decisions on improvements, system changes, resource needs, and better integration with other business processes. Unlike earlier versions, this process now requires broader involvement from all relevant managers, not just one representative, and should be strategically aligned with the organization's overall direction. Corrective, fixing nonconformities, incremental, gradual enhancements, innovative, applying new methods or technologies, transformative, redesigning processes entirely. The key is evidence. Organizations must be able to show that improvements are happening. ISO 14001:2015 sets a high bar, but it's not about bureaucracy. It's about building an environmental management system that works in real life. From controlling documented information to planning operations, from being ready for emergencies to evaluating performance and driving improvement, every clause of the standard has one goal: protecting the environment while improving organizational performance. Look at real-world examples of how organizations implement these requirements and how auditors verify them. This is for Science Salah Lotfy Channel, where we transform technical standards into practical, actionable knowledge for a sustainable future.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to For Science Salah Lotfy Channel. In this episode, we are focusing on one of the most critical aspects of ISO 14001:2015, corrective actions and continual improvement. Every effective environmental management system must be ready to respond when things go wrong. When a nonconformity is identified, the organization is required to take all necessary measures to control and correct it, while addressing any environmental impact that may have occurred. The process begins with 1. Identifying the cause, determining the root cause of the nonconformity. 2. Assessing recurrence risk, considering whether a similar problem could happen again at the same site or elsewhere. 3. Extending the investigation, checking if similar nonconformities have already occurred in other areas. 4. Making system changes, deciding whether modifications to the EMS are needed to prevent future occurrences. Auditors look for clear, documented evidence that the nature of the nonconformity has been recorded. All corrective actions have been properly implemented. Investigations have considered the possibility of similar nonconformities across the organization. It's important to note that in some cases, completely eliminating the cause may not be possible. In such situations, the best an organization can do is to reduce the likelihood or minimize the consequences, bringing the risk down to an acceptable level. ISO 14001:2015 also requires organizations to continually improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of their EMS, with the ultimate goal of enhancing environmental performance. Here's what those terms mean in practice. Suitability. The EMS fits the organization and meets ISO 14001:2015 requirements. Adequacy. The system is comprehensive enough to manage the organization's environmental responsibilities. Effectiveness. The EMS achieves its intended environmental results. Continual improvement does not mean constant change without pause. Continuous here refers to activity carried out over time, possibly with intervals, while continual refers to sustained effort with potential breaks for assessment and adjustment. Auditors will check whether the organization identifies opportunities for improvement and addresses low performance through analysis and evaluation results, internal audit findings, management review outcomes, supporting tools and methodologies. They will also verify that improvement opportunities are implemented in a controlled and systematic way. By properly handling nonconformities and embedding continual improvement into daily operations, organizations can ensure their environmental management system not only complies with ISO 14001:2015, but actively drives better environmental outcomes. Before we end, I would like to express my sincere thanks. In my name, Professor Dr. Salah Lotfy, Professor at the Egyptian Atomic Energy Authority, to Dr. Rosa Baliza Maia, Doctor in Nuclear Technology, Senior Metallurgical Engineer, and Quality Management Specialist in the nuclear sector, for her valuable contribution to the lecture behind this episode. And of course, I thank all of you, our loyal viewers of For Science Salah Lotfy Channel. I invite you to share your thoughts and comments about today's lecture in the comment section below the video. Your engagement helps bring science to life.